If you are involved in real estate, you have undoubtedly heard what is the difference between A class, B class, C class, and D class properties or areas or neighborhoods. You probably also asked yourself, what the heck is the best one to invest in? We're going to have a conversation with Casey from Brick by Brick Wealth. Casey, how you doing?
I am doing really good today, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I get asked all the time, what is the difference between A, B, and C?
Me
Sometimes
too.
A, B, C, and D. So why don't we just riff on how we answer that question? How do we look at that? And then we will get to the next step of what's the best to invest in. But how do you break down the categories of A, B, C, and D?
There's a lot of different ways to break it down. There's a lot of different metrics you can use. But the easiest metric is by the percentage of owner occupants in the area. Now, that may be the hardest one to figure out, but to me, that is the most accurate way. When you have a mostly owner occupied neighborhood, it's going to be A class. Think gated luxury community, the best neighborhood where you in your area, that's going to be the A class neighborhood. B class neighborhood is going to have maybe 10 to 15% rentals. The rest are going to be owner occupied. And a C class is more 50-50. So half the people in the neighborhood rent, half the people own. And then D class is mostly tenant occupied. It may be hard to sometimes find those metrics, but that is how you find the legit answer to that question.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of people that talk about A through D categories, whether it's neighborhoods. I've heard kind of the big wigs talk about ages of property, right? New construction is class A, class B is, 10 years old, class C is 25, and, class D is beyond that. One of the things that when I look at my neighborhood of Fresno, California, I actually looked at parking. And this is very strange. I've never heard anybody else talk about this, but in general, a D-class neighborhood, they're parking on the grass or what was grass. They probably have one or multiple cars that are non-operating. And we're talking neighborhood-wide. We're not talking about that one kook in the neighborhood. We're talking that's the general feel. Parking it's not it's just there's lots of old cars everywhere, lots of them not working. A C-class is again, probably a lot of cars, but they're all functioning.
Older.
They're older. They're on the street. Again, you could see them. They're on the street. They're visible. They're probably not parking on the grass, but they're visible. Class B, they're generally speaking in a garage, right? They're off street. There's no other than that one kook who has 3 cars under tarps.
Yeah.
They're generally parked. And then the A class, you never see them, right? They're just not visible. So again, there's lots of ways you can break down A through D, but that's one of the off that I've looked at is
that's really unique. That's really unique. I haven't heard it. I mean, I think that way, but I've never used it as, oh, here's a way you can just like figure it out. So I love that. Thanks. That's new to me.
Yeah.
One other way that I used to tell, which is also very accurate in my opinion, are taking the great schools ratings into account.
Yeah.
So if you look at, and I don't mean high school, so I'm talking elementary school, public school ratings, not private schools, not charters. If you look at the elementary public school rating on a scale of 1 to 10, it is very, in my opinion, an experience, very accurate to grading the neighborhood class. For example, an elementary school with a rating of 1 or 2 out of 10 being the best, 1 and 2 is bad, right? That's usually a D class neighborhood. Now, if you see a 1 for a high school, that doesn't necessarily mean that the neighborhood is a D class, because keep in mind, the high schools could encapsulate the entire city. So you could have rich kids, poor kids, everyone in the whole city can go to one school, but that little neighborhood is really indicative of what's happening there. So 1 to 2 ratings for great schools is a D class. 3 and 4 ratings, usually for sure a C class, could be D class too. The more we go up, the more iffy it can get. But 1 to 2 is usually pretty much guaranteed a D class. 3, 4, 5 could be C class. 5, 6, 7 could be, or even 8 could be B class. And usually 8, 9, 10 are A class. B class could also be, 7, 8, 9 as well. The one to really note, though, is the D class, because in my opinion, those are the areas that I really want to make sure I stay away from. You can usually tell an A class neighborhood, gated community, luxury cars, all those things. B class is where the starter homes are. They're older. Most people live there. You're going to have all the trick-or-treaters there, and everyone's going to decorate their homes there for Christmas, because that's where the families are, right? As you get older and you move up and your kids move out, in those luxury communities, you're having less kids, right? More expensive homes, older people, less happening in the neighborhood. So those affordability homes are going to be in the B, C class neighborhoods. And the ones that are really well kept, mostly owner occupied, pride of ownership, you'll be able to tell those in the B class.
Yeah, it's really funny, because I've had these conversations for better part of 2 decades. And generally speaking, everybody can tell an A class and they can tell a D class. That's not really where the conversation occurs. So then it becomes, hey, what's the difference between a B and a C class? And again, I use rules of thumb and experience versus some kind of tried and true definition. What separates a B and a C class in my market, so this may not play in your markets, but when I drive down the street, is there grass or is it dirt? Because generally speaking, in single family homes, the tenants pay for water. So they have no interest in watering the grass. Generally speaking, owner occupants like to have a pretty front yard. It's a pride of ownership thing. So when I'm driving down a street and deciding if it's a B or a C class, I simply count how many brown lawns there are. And that gives me the whole, is this 50-50 renter owners? Is it 80-20 the other way, or whatnot? So it's really funny. I look at grass and the ratio of how much green grass there is or not.
I love that, because in California, water is very expensive. Well, in Memphis and in the South, water's free. It rains a lot. Nobody has sprinklers. Okay. I mean, maybe the ritzy homes have sprinklers, and maybe they don't, because they just aren't needed. You might need to water your lawn with the little thing twice a year in the summer, August. Wow. That's it. So we get lots of free rain, free water to water grass. So everyone's grasses are green. But the difference between B and C here is, since it grows so much, who takes care of their lawn and their shrubs and their weeds? So everyone's going to have green grass, but is it going to be overgrown? That's what you'll see out here. B class neighborhoods will trim their shrubs and their hedges. They will have their grass mowed, and they will edge. Okay. That's one thing. People may mow their lawns. They'll mow their lawns in C class, but they won't have a weed eater to edge the nice little line. And you'll see tons of little hanging over the curbs and the driveways, and it won't be a nice crisp edge. So we have a different type of grass.
I like it. I like it.
Ours is overgrown.
So we've already talked about don't want to invest in class D. I don't do that as well. We obviously pointed out class A doesn't really cash flow, and we're both cash flow investors. So it really comes down to, what is better, Casey, class B or class C?
Okay. B. B class. Okay. This is why I say B class. All right. There are pros and cons for B and C, and both of them are great areas to invest in. They really are. They have their pros and cons, but this is why I like B class. B class, you're going to have more appreciation. Since you have homes that are being better taken care of by owner-occupieds, pride of ownership, the values are going to go up. You have people who care, right? So they're going to send their kids to school, and the school ratings are going to be good. And we saw how that correlates. Pride of ownership also means less crime, higher expense, more expensive houses, less crime, more people want to live there more than the C class, right? It's the step out. To get out of C class, you go to B class. To get out of B class, you go to A. The thing with B class is there are older homes. We're not always talking brand new builds in A class that are really hard to fix up and rent out that don't cash flow. B class neighborhoods can be older properties that have a lot of opportunity for value add for investors. Plus, you can get people that live there and want to live there long term. Now, the downside with B class is that they are great people who live in B class. They may have 6-figure jobs. They may have college degrees. And one day they're going to move. Unlike C class, my properties in C class, the big pro is you may have lifetime renters, which is, oh my God, like everybody's dream to have someone who never moves out. You can find that in the C class. You can find nice quality tenants in C class that never want to move. Your appreciation won't be as much as B class, and you won't be able to raise your rent over time at the increased percentages as you can in B class, but you will have lifetime renters there, and it's cheaper to buy. But B class, you're going to have people that move out. Here's the pro with them moving out. They move out because they go buy. The pro is that they leave your property squeaky clean. Every time I have a tenant leave my B-class property, they even, not always, but they touch up paint. They have professionally cleaned. If it isn't professional, I can't tell. They do a great job. I'd really take 5 minutes to go in with a little cloth, might fill in some holes from a TV mount and touch up paint right there on the wall. But virtually that's it when it comes to B-class turnovers. C-class turnovers are much more costly. You may have people that break the rules a bit more, smoke cigarettes or bring in unauthorized pets, yada, yada. So in my opinion is B-class gets better appreciation, which means more rent increases over time. And you're going to have higher quality of tenants that take care of your property. So for me, it's hands down B-class, even though they're a little more expensive to get into.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to set up a portfolio where you could get done with the least, having a collection of 4, 8, 10 B-class single family homes bought over a decade, there might be nothing better than something like that. As somebody who has probably more than half his properties are in C-class, you've kind of nailed the pluses. Longest average turnover, a little bit more headache on management. But at the end of the day, most tenants want to do the right things, want to pay their rents, and again, I don't self-manage, so I have a property manager that deals with the headaches. But no, I think if you're looking at this, real estate investing is, hey, I'm going to pick up 4 houses over the next 10 years. I think B-class, find grandma's house. We talked about that last week. Do some updates, some touch-ups, get, buy the worst house on the nicest block in the B-class. There's nothing wrong with that strategy.
Yep. And if people say, oh, it's expensive, B-class costs more, it does cost more. Okay. And sometimes they don't cash flow right away. Doesn't mean buy them. But what it means is look for properties with the potential to cash flow. Look for value add opportunities. Can you close off the one of the extra, living rooms or dining rooms and turn it into a bedroom to make more money? Can you fix up a property? You still need a cash flow on day one, but it's going to be very difficult to find a rent-ready property to purchase that's in a B-class neighborhood. So there is going to be more money invested into the property, down payment plus renovation costs in some capacity. So there's that to take into consideration. But if you self-manage like I do, and you want to be able to increase your rents every few years or every time a tenant moves out, increase the rent. If they're there for 4 years, 3 years, don't feel bad, increase the rent on them. It will be worth more just because of time and location. And eventually you will be the one that says, oh my gosh, I own rentals in this neighborhood and they don't cash flow anymore, no matter what you do. Yeah. That is like the coolest thing.
Yeah. Got in early. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Casey, you put out a lot of amazing stuff. Where can people find you?
People can find me every week on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth. I put out new videos on how to do things the right way with real estate, and on Instagram, Brick by Brick Wealth, for daily content.
There you go, folks. Well, let us know in the comments below. What do you think is best? Are you a Class C or Class B investor? Let us know in the comments below. Casey, you're amazing. Thank you so much.